Hey there, Laker fans. Welcome to another episode of Lakers Detailed. I am your host, Vinay, waiting on my co host, Raj, who I believe is doing recording with Anthony on an episode of Lakers Lounge. So I'm going to do a little bit of the post game for this Clippers post game prior to Raj getting on board, and then we'll just kind of continue with our regular Lakers detailed live streams where we just kind of hit on a bunch of different topics. So, as always, I hope everybody's doing well. This recording is going to be for the, uh, at least this section of it is going to be about the Clippers post game. So Lakers lose to the Clippers by a score of 116 to 102, which was not really a close game, honestly, based on just kind of what the numbers are showing there. They were down by 26 at one point, like they were down pretty significantly. So um, the Lakers looked like they came into the game like in the first quarter. They looked like they were a little locked in, just kind of ready to meet the energy that they would probably get. This is the first game that we get of Lakers versus Clippers in the Clippers new arena. So I would expected everybody, the crowd, the Lakers, or sorry, not the Lakers, the crowd, the Clipper players, all to be sort of locked in. I think Kawhi only played the first half of the game, where he was sort of he's still on a minutes restriction as he works his way back into playing basketball shape. But yeah, like this is a game where I thought the Lakers started off and they looked like they were going to keep pace the first quarter. Just some shots didn't get knocked down, some shots didn't get knocked down. It just seemed like that was what the situation was. But then they kind of started like letting go of the rope to some degree with the team, like the defense especially sort of started letting go of the rope, and Lakers didn't do very well, and that was basically the theme of the game. It was basically the theme of the game up until about maybe, I want to say, 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I have to remember exactly when the run happened, but there was a run where I think Anthony Davis left the floor. And then after Anthony Davis left the floor, the Lakers go on a little bit of a run where they cut that 26-point lead to about like 15 to 11 by I think 15 by the end of the fourth quarter, and then they get it down to as low as like, I want to say, like 9 points, something like that. So the Lakers find some defense really late, but at the same time, they did it from like, you could make the argument that the Clippers kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit offensively, and so that's why the Lakers kind of went on the run that they went on. But for the most part, I mean, outside of maybe the first 6 minutes of this game, the Clippers were pretty much in full control of the game the entire way, and you could tell that the Clippers ran a lot of the lineups they ran with a lot of intent. Um, they had lineups where their guys were specifically just trying to ISO their matchups. They had lineups where they tried to span pick and rolls. They had lineups where they were just trying to feed Kawhi. They even had lineups where KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., gets a bunch of isolations. Like that's the point of the lineup that's on the floor. So the Clippers play with a lot of identity, but their identity for sure is there on the defensive end. They play. They're one of the better defenses in the NBA. They have been all season, and so I'm not surprised that the Lakers had as many turnovers as they did. There was certainly a bunch of unforced turnovers that the Lakers had. Austin has 2 turnovers, trying to anticipate where like Dalton Connect's going to go, or anticipating that Rui's going to roll to the rim when Rui actually pops out. So some of those are miscommunications, but again, those are turnovers nonetheless. Austin finished with 5. And LeBron finished with 5. And so that's about 5 of your 15 turnovers, which seems like it's actually like lower than it should be. But yeah, that was sort of the name of the game. Like the Lakers, mainly their defense didn't show up. Like they had a bunch of turnovers, and then their defense didn't show up at all. Like they were very, very lax. And this has like been a pretty consistent theme that we've seen with this Lakers team, with when they play against really good teams, especially ones that have like a true identity. Now, mind you, the Clippers are not a good offensive team. Like they're a team that I think ranks towards the bottom third of the league offensively. Um, but what they are good at is what they're good at, and I imagine that's going to change with Kawhi back. But the Lakers still give up 116 points to a team that's not very good offensively. So that gives you an idea of just sort of what the discipline looks like for this Lakers team. Like always, like you saw with the Nets game, this team can play down and play up to its competition. Like it doesn't matter. Like they can certainly do that. But I thought today was one of those days where the Lakers did a really good job. Or sorry, the Clippers did. This game was a good example of a game where the Clippers really game plan to make the Lakers two stars do a lot of the work. Like they didn't want Austin Reeves doing a lot of the work. They didn't want other guys knocking down a bunch of open shots, and it's kind of evident when you look at the shot volume, like for this Lakers team. Lakers, this is one of the first games in a long time, I would say. Braun shot the ball 20 times this game. Like this is the first time in quite a while that I think Braun. Let me take a look back and see when's the last time Braun shot at least 20 times. Today he shot 20 times. The last time he shot 20 times was in back-to-back games, January 3rd against Atlanta and January 2nd against Portland, where he shot 20 times against Atlanta and he shot 25 times against Portland. So, like, it had been a while. And I think one of the things that the Clippers wanted to do was really go out of their way to make, Braun have to be like that primary ball handler and have to, like, exert a lot of energy. And I think Braun – like he was great. I mean, Braun was our best offensive player today, so I'm not even gonna. There's nothing to really complain about outside of just like, also just like his legs got cut. Like he missed like 3 bunnies, like 99% of the time he's making those shots, and when he missed them, I was like, okay, his legs might be a little gassed here because he's being asked to do so much. But it's something that I'm going to talk to Roger about when he jumps on board. But like I think the Lakers are certainly running into this issue where against really good teams, ones that also believe that Braun and AD aren't the best 2 players on the floor. Teams like Denver, teams like OKC that believe that they have better players. Forget the role players. Like there are teams out there that believe that their best 2 players are better than our best 2 players, and they play like it, and they'll attack our best 2 players like it too as well. And one of the things that it seems like the Lakers consistently haven't done very well is sort of meet that energy. And I feel like sometimes our 2 stars don't meet that energy. And I talked about Braun and fatigue attrition catching up to him. But AD didn't have a good game today. Like he didn't play against the Nets last minute. He's a scratch against the Nets, which is, fine. You'd like to know that in advance, but whatever, it is what it is. But today he shoots 5 for 14, shoots a lot of jumpers. And these are like relatively open jumpers. These are not like heavily contested jumpers. Ivica Zubac is not going out of his way to try and prevent AD from taking those jumpers. They weren't. He only shot 14 times today. They did mix up a lot of the looks for AD. They were sending doubles. They would shade a double team, try to get the ball out of his hands, try to make him take shots from directions he didn't want to. Like we've played the Clippers like 1,000 times, and at this point, I feel like AD should know like where the pressure is going to come from because it's just the same thing. Like it's quite literally, and Ty Lue is still using the same exact defense that he has used like all these years. Against AD. Like it's nothing new, but for some reason sometimes AD looks like it's like brand new to him. So it's I don't think we got really good effort from him. We did get it defensively, but I'm not quite sure that we got it from him offensively tonight. 14 shots, not enough shots. Rui had 14 shots, he went 9 for 14. You get 19 points out of him. Austin Reeves only 4 for 6. Max Christie 4 for 7. I think 3 for 6 if you don't count that end of the game dunk that he got. But just not great games. Like the shot volume, the distribution, just whatever was there. But forget the offensive stuff aside. Like I said, the Clippers are a good defensive team, so I expected them to challenge the Lakers in that capacity. The Lakers themselves didn't do a good job defensively, and that's my core concern. That the Lakers didn't do well defensively. So there's 2 key stretches that I can think of that I would say sort of decided this game. The first key stretch happened during in the second quarter, I want to say, when Kevin Porter Jr. kind of had like 3 isolation plays. I think he scored 7 points, if I'm not mistaken. He went on like a little mini 7-0 run himself, which ended up being like a larger 13-3 run. by the Clippers, and that actually put a lot of room between the Lakers and the Clippers. That was against like random bench units, and it that run really hurt the Lakers because that game sort of devolved into an ISO ball game. I think Kevin Porter scored 6 or 7 points, and then Kawhi had the spin baseline layup. I think on Max Christie, I want to say, and there was one more score that I can't quite remember. But that little stretch of basketball hurt the Lakers, put the Lakers down by like 15 or 16 at that point. And then the start of the second half was just like it was the complete opposite of what we saw like with the Miami game where Tyler Hero came out super hot. Lakers came in very locked in, jumping the passing lanes, aggressively attacking like everything that they saw, and then they just did an awful job. This game they just did an awful job. Like the second half, they come out. I want to say the Clippers' first 4 possessions, and I'm trying to remember this like photographically. So if I'm off on some of the details, I apologize. But like one of the things that the Clippers like, I want to say Derrick Jones Jr. gets an offensive rebound on the first offensive possession that the Clippers run off of a Zubac miss, off of somebody's miss. Braun asleep, just lets him go by. Does that. I forgot what happened on the next play. It might have been a score or it might have been a Clippers turnover. But the very next possession, like of their first 4 possessions, Clippers offensive possessions, the Lakers give up 2 offensive rebounds, just on basic back cut. And then there's a play where I think Derrick Jones Jr. back cuts LeBron for a layup. And like I think that's when JJ calls the timeout, if I'm not mistaken. And this is just this is one of those games where it's like the attention to detail from everybody wasn't quite there. There were some miscommunications between like Rui and Austin again. There was a miscommunication between Austin and DFS, I want to say, like just small things like that. And if the Lakers want to be a team that can compete beyond the second round, they have to be better execution wise. And I hope Austin's okay. He bumped knees or something like that. It looked like, so I hope it's nothing too serious for him. But these games, the Lakers are not going to win, like unless their attention to detail is top tier. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk to Raj about is whether we're going to get that. Like we're going to get the Wizards the next game, and then the game after that we're going to get Boston, which is a big game for us. And one of my concerns for this game was like if the Lakers would play this game too cool, and like they'd be too cool for this matchup, which is a thing that we've seen before. Like the Clippers take the matchup much more seriously, and then the Lakers, after like they kind of go down double digits, they kind of let go. They're like content with trading baskets and for the rest of the game. And so I thought that's what happened with this game. I thought the Lakers didn't come in locked in defensively, and the end result was them basically just trading baskets up until the Clippers decided to just play prevent offense up until the end of the third quarter. That's the way I see it. Those 2 key stretches, the KPJ stretch in the second quarter, and then the start of the third quarter. Like it just wasn't. They didn't do a very good job in that manner, and they didn't come out the second half with the response that I thought they would. So, I mean, people will probably argue, Lakers need another ball handler. People will probably argue Lakers should be getting a backup center. I think those are all very valid things, but at the same time, like there also has to be like a baseline level of like giving a crap that I think that the Lakers 2 stars have to have in order for them to be successful. And I don't know if the Lakers are getting that consistently from their guys. Like if you're a Laker fan and you ask yourself the question, like, have LeBron James and Anthony Davis have they like really put their stamp on like this season, right? Like meaning like, have you gotten like when you go into games, do you go into games saying, I know what I'm going to get out of LeBron and Anthony Davis, like tonight. Like I know I'm getting 25 and 10 out of Anthony Davis. I know I'm getting 20 and 10 out of LeBron. Or even as a Laker fan, ask yourself the question like, have you gotten games where going into games you're going to get aggressive versions of both of those guys together? And if the answer is no, then that's probably something that the Lakers have to address themselves. I think that's something that they have to figure out because it seems like a lot of these times it seems like a lot of times you're looking for somebody else. The Lakers are trying to rely on Austin Reeves against the Nets to get hot. Against Miami, it was Rui Hachimura getting hot. Like he was the reason we were in that game up until the Lakers kind of figured it out in the second half. And so I don't want to say it's always all on the stars, but there is like a compounding thing where it's just like I don't know if that communication is there between the stars and the coach, or if I wonder if the coach doesn't know. Like, does the coach? This was a thing that, if you guys remember, on Lakers Detail, we used to talk quite a bit. Me and Roger used to talk about it quite a bit about how Darvin Ham couldn't read LeBron. Like, he couldn't tell when LeBron was in facilitator mode versus scoring mode. And I think JJ's done a slightly better job with that. He's just a little limited with the kind of personnel that he has to move to have around it. But I wouldn't be shocked if JJ's kind of running into that situation too as well. Like, he's running lineups. Today he ran a lineup of like 4 defenders and Anthony Davis. And there was no secondary scorer on the floor. It was like Gabe Vincent. I think Jackson Hayes may have been on the floor for that too big look. It was like Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, DFS, and who was the last guy that was on the floor? It wasn't Austin. It wasn't Dalton. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Max. Max was the other guy. So it was like Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and I want to say Jackson Hayes was the other guy that was on the floor with him. And that was it. Like, Rui wasn't on the floor. Austin wasn't on the floor. Braun wasn't on the floor. And, like, that lineup was expected to – I mean, it was good defensively, but that lineup was expected to score against a Clippers team. And I think at the time the Clippers had James Harden and Norm Powell on the floor at the same time. So it's like that, if you ask me, like, that's probably skewed too heavily on the defensive side. Like, you're asking too much of like a bunch of defensive guys to be able to manufacture points, or you're asking too much of AD. Like, you're making it easy for the opposing team to just be like, oh, we're just going to double AD and force one of these other guys to have to do something. Now, to be fair, if they're wide open, DFS, he only attempted 3 shots, but you want him to knock down shots. I thought Max actually had a pretty decent offensive game today, but like, it's those kind of lineup imbalances that make things a little bit difficult. So it'll be interesting to see what the Lakers do, how the Lakers approach this. But I do think that, like, there is a baseline level of, like, I care about these games that we have, that I'd like to see out of our star players. And I don't know if I see that consistently. And I'm not looking at stat lines. I'm talking about, like, watching the game. Like, I'm not with that. Like, Zubac has been phenomenal this season, so I'm not going to act as if, like, he's like some sort of scrub that was really, really good. But this game, like, Zubac there was a point where, like, Zubac almost out rebounded like 3 Lakers. It was like Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis, and I think it might have been like Dalton Connect or something like that, who was in the paint, and Zubac was like out rebounding all 3 of them, like attempting to out rebound all 3 of them. Like, that's what I mean. Like, there has to be some level of I care about winning on the margins in the game with the personnel that I have, that I think that the Lakers sort of lack. So it's just one of those things that I think we have to sort of figure out. The Lakers have to sort of figure out. And do they figure it out? I don't know. That's really the question. So let me see if I can share my screen as we do this. I'm still waiting on Raj to message me for him to come. If Raj isn't able to make it, then we'll just do this as a Lakers Extra Detailed, and I'll find some time to schedule our regular live stream with them. But let me see. I'm going to pull up. Let me do this. Share screen. I want to pull up the possessions that we saw in that second quarter where KPJ got kind of hot. Oh, let me do it this way. Let me do that. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you guys can see it. Just give me 1 second. Let me share it. We can just kind of do this live. And All right, so let's sort of do this live. So these are all the second quarter possessions, offensive possessions that you got out of all the second quarter possessions you get from the Clippers against the Lakers. So you're watching this lineup. This is the lineup where we played small ball. Again, I don't know why we went to small ball. Maybe because JJ thought that Mobamba wasn't going to really be an inside threat, so he wanted more, just kind of what's it called, foot speed on the floor, like a guy who can just kind of roll out to the perimeter or pick up the switch right here. So let me pull this up. So let's go through this. So again, these kind of possessions, this is a good switch. You got Braun in help right here, showing the help. He goes right to Batum. Like, I can't. Like, am I gonna I don't know. Like, what do we do here? Like, do I tell Braun, hey, Braun, you don't need to come and help this close. Like, you're helping way too close. Like, it's tricky to have to say it that way. But you just trust that Braun will make that decision. But like, just stuff like this is stuff that kind of works against you. Funny part is Kawhi's not even a very good passer, so him even getting that pass out is kind of crazy. So again, a lot of ISO. So like I mentioned before, the Clippers ran a specific lineup where they were like trying to ISO. Like their goal was to try and ISO Kawhi for as many possessions as they could. I'm gonna try and make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Hopefully you guys can see this. Just put it in the comment section if it's hard to see. I'll see if I can try and enlarge it for you guys. But if you can see it, then that's great. So we keep going. Like again, here's a Rui screen. They're trying to ISO Reeves. This is good. This is good. What's it called? This is good defense. Good help by the Lakers. Braun's got to defend two guys. It's normal. It's just a tough shot by Kawhi. But this is good defense. Like I'm not complaining about the defense that we see here when it comes to it. So again, this is another one of those things. You can see that the matchups that they have in the floor, the guys that Chris Dunn's not going to shoot the ball. Amir Coffey can, but I don't think he's trying to try it. Mobama's not there for anything other than to help space the floor and pretend to be sort of that floor spacing threat. But the goal here is always to ISO. And I thought Ty Lue specifically did that. Like these lineups specifically have that purpose. So let's see what happens here. Contested jumper. It's a good stop. We go to the very next one. Here you go. You've got Braun pressing all the way up because everybody's kind of covered here. Again, Kawhi's not really a good passer. This is actually a really funny moment because this took such a weird angle. Like Rui was expecting an air ball and it bounced off his head, so I thought that was funny. I would be curious to know what the reaction was real time from Lakers Twitter on that one. But again, here you go. KPJ setting the lineup. You see what the setup here is. You can see Kawhi pointing. KPJ's job is right here. Just get it to who you're supposed to get it. Lakers correctly switch, but he makes a contested jumper. Here we go, gang. Now Kawhi's got it. Here comes the ISO. This again, good defense. Like every time they start plays, every time the Clippers started a play, the goal was to try and find the guy that they could pick on, so then they could force the defense to start coming over and helping in the direction that they wanted to. And for the most part, the Lakers were scoring with this lineup. So now here is the same lineup. Now we've got Max on the floor. Max has come in for, I think Max came in for Gabe here. But Lakers are still playing that small ball lineup. Again, this is very difficult for Rui to manage, but he's doing his best. So when we talk about like guys like Trey Jameson, guys like that, like they need a body to do this. Watch Rui use his chest to try and hold him up to get him just far enough away from the rim to short that play. And Zubac has a great touch around the rim, so I expected him to make it. The Lakers gang rebound, that's always a good thing. Here you go, another KPJ ISO. It's a good make. It's a tough make. You want Austin to not have to give as much room, but again, it's a good defense. You're making him take a contested mid-range shot. Pick and roll. So yeah, this is the play that I was mentioning before. I think there was a play before where they ran this pick and roll on the opposite side, and Rui ended up missing the wide open three. And I think that's what Rui was expecting here. He was expecting this one was a little early, so I think Austin was trying to anticipate that Rui had already gone down the way, but it wasn't close at all. And that ends up being a turnover. I think they ended up scoring here. Yeah. Nobody, as you can see, nobody picks up. Rui's running all the way back, but KPJ's gonna. This is a cardinal sin. This is you guys have seen me complain about this before. Lakers let opposing players get all the way down to the free throw line before they actually pick him up, and then he walks into this. Like again, this was still a relatively close game. It's a 6-point game. I think this was off of a miss, maybe an AD miss, and you can literally see at the start of this possession, you can see Austin pointing. Austin saying somebody has to go to the far side. One of the things I kind of wish was that they would stop doing this. I wish that the Lakers would just be like, I'm going to go, like, just go get your assignment. Like, don't point. Like, Rui's moving because he's thinking that he has to pick up Kawhi because Kawhi is his matchup. But Austin's pointing to go the other way. So Rui's now looking to figure out who he's supposed to go get. So nobody has picked up KPJ this entire time because Austin's assignment is KPJ and he's telling Rui to switch. So like these small miscommunications are things that really, really plague Lakers. And like Austin is a culprit to some of this stuff, the point switching stuff that goes on here. See, AD starts angling like he's there. So Rui's like, all right, let me hang back because I'll get Zubac. And then KPJ walks into this. Again, like it's KPJ, not like a super stellar like jump shooter, but it was good enough for this situation. This is a nice play. 80 good defense. Just a tough finish. Lakers down 8 here at this point. This not falling for the fakes, none of that stuff. Good defense. All this great defense. But you see what this takes a kind of a awkward bounce, but you see how Rui has to box him out. Like this is a technical thing here. Look, Rui's facing him because he can't turn around and box him out. He's not physically strong enough to box him out that way. And this is one of those things, like it's a small detail that you wouldn't realize, but that detail is so crucial because if you get a guy like Trey Jemison size, I'm not saying he should play this game, but if you get a guy who's a physical big to be the backup in these situations, let's say you run the 2 big lineup or whatever it is, like that player is turned around with his back to Rui, able to box him out like a single man box out. And this play doesn't happen. Like there's a chance that player gets the ball in his hands. And so that's just one of those things where it's like when you don't have the right personnel for that, it ends up hurting you in small ways. And so that's an example of something like that. Just good effort, second effort. Again, what happens here? Watch Zoo slip for the inside position. Like Zoo already has inside position here. So when you're watching this play in hindsight, you're watching it like if you're watching it from right here, you're telling yourself, oh, Rui's got to get to that ball. But look, Zoo's already there. Rui has to rotate down from Norman Powell to make that. And if you want a better person to do that, then for sure you should go trade for that. But again, like these are small things that the Lakers just don't do well. That's a single man box out that AD loses against Zoo. It's a great example of just super easy. Like watch what happens here. Look at the screen. Look at the quality of the screen. It's a high quality screen. It just ends up being like a random, like you're going to get mad at Rui for that, but that's just a great quality. That's a great play. It's a great quality screen. Not only does Rui get screened by Zoo, like he's got to squeeze in between him and Gabe because there's double action going on over here. AD's watching both sides because he doesn't know which way to go, and the ball just gets passed behind him. Again, watch this again. What is Max denying? Max is denying this side. Like these are basketball things. Like Max is denying this outside play because he thinks Gabe's going to get beat on this play. And so he gives up the inside position. Like there's supposed to be somebody between the rim. Like that pass shouldn't be able to get off the way it does, but Max takes outside position instead of inside position. Ends up being late. Small things, like, and I think these are like the execution things that ends up being an issue. Okay, so here's a great example. Another great example of them going early. So this play, this clip actually starts here, but they started this play really early. Look at the clock. There's 20 seconds left in this play clock. Or sorry, in the game, 24-second clock. They're already into their offense 4 seconds into 4 seconds into the game, or sorry, into the possession. So it gives you an idea of how quickly the Clippers are trying to go. They're going early because they know they have an advantage matchup right here. So watch what they do. Kawhi knows he's got an ISO. He's already read the floor. He knows where AD is. He knows there's no back. The backside help's going to be Dalton. Dalton's not going to have a chance. All he has to do is spin. He sets it up, goes to spin. He knows the backside is just Dalton and Rui. And even if Rui gets there, he knows Zubac is already down the lane. Easy layup. Just simple, disciplined stuff that you want, and super, super happy guy in Steve Ballmer. But that's just an example of what that looks like. Like when we look at stuff like that, like when we cut tape, it's just when I cut tape, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure out what's the reason. Why did that happen? Why did this happen? Why did they score so easily on this play? So that stretch of basketball in the second quarter, that second, third quarter is really what decided a lot of this. So let me mute this now. So Lakers start the second half, and they do a rough job to start the second half, and their attention to detail was not very good. So let's just take a look at what that looks like. So they're already down, I think, 15 to start the second half. So again, they go right into the Zubac post up. AD does a nice job defending, but what happens? Who falls asleep? Where does this play come from? Let's start all the way at the top. Austin is chasing Norm Powell all the way down into the corner. That means that Braun's assignment, still Derrick Jones Jr., just runs all the way around. Austin puts a hand on him just to push him out of the way, just because you want to tag the guy. And the ball ends up going on the other side. Derrick Jones Jr. gets the ball. But remember I told you I was trying to photographically remember it. Like, that's an example. That's the very first one. Now let's see what happens here. AD already made one good defense on that play. Makes a second good defense on that play. Gets the rebound. So what happens on this play? Again, Austin staying with him. He's corralled. Just a good shot by James Harden. Screen and roll. Derrick Jones slips. What happens? Let's roll it back so we get a better idea of what's going on here. So Rui's over here with Norman Powell. He can't leave Norman Powell. Norman Powell's shooting like 56 or 60%, some absurd number from three. He's not going to leave him. Like it's just a given. That's not going to happen. So AD goes to help. AD's going to go and help squeeze this Derrick Jones play. And Rui doesn't really put contact on Zubac. Before the shot, like you see what's happening here? You see how Zubac keeps getting inside position because he's a bigger player? Like Rui's got hands on both Max and Zubac. Like that can't happen. Like you have to have a guy who's willing to like just go full bore and put that guy underneath the rim. That ends up being a miss. And so you can see like when you see AD's body language be like this, and I'm not saying AD had a good game or he doesn't have any right to, but when you see AD's body language like this, like this is the kind of stuff that makes things difficult for the Lakers. That like your best defensive player, your star anchor guy is making teams miss shots and making players miss shots, but his teammates aren't coming through to help him out. So let's see what happens. Oh, this is the same play. So we'll just run through that again. Now watch how easy this play is. Again, they're in a zone here, okay? They're in a zone here, and Braun is up high. Kawhi's in the corner. He's like wide open. Kawhi decided to back cut this play. He would have gotten a dunk. So AD tries to cut off this pass because AD thinks there's a pass here because nobody has communicated to him where this is supposed to go. AD thinks there's a pass there. So Norm uses a nice pass fake to go in and attack him the other way. So let's watch and see what happens here. These are all normal rotations that are about to see, right? So AD picks up, they run a pick and roll. Harden backs it back out. AD's out on the perimeter. Max is fronting Zubac. These are all the correct things to do, right? Austin's running with Derrick Jones Jr. He sees that Max lost that front side position. Zubac's about to get this and not have anybody behind him. So Austin correctly goes to help. Who doesn't go to help? Who doesn't rotate? Simple stuff. Like it's always going to be simple stuff with the Lakers, and it's a core issue that the Lakers have when it comes to like doing their rotations and that sort of stuff. Like it's, I don't know if they can do this kind of stuff against really great teams, because when you do stuff like this against really great teams, I don't think you'll be successful. I don't think you'll be a successful team when you do stuff like this. And this is a core issue that the Lakers have when it comes to just kind of how they execute their offense and defense. And this is a perfect example. You see multiple guys executing correct help coverage, front side, everything. All it takes is one guy to not do his job, and the whole possession blows up. So now they're up 20. And remember, they're not running anything exotic. The Clippers are not doing anything that's like, oh my gosh, like the Lakers. There's no way that they can defend this. This is not like a two man unit where like the two guys are unstoppable or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just they're just running regular stuff, right? What happens here? We get the screen. They're in a zone here still, right? Max overplaying too much. One pass away in a zone, probably not needed. You want to communicate with your teammate who's going to pick him up. This one was really, really awful right here. Watch this. He threw this over the top of the zone. This should not happen. They're still in a 2-3 zone here, by the way. Who's the backside responsibility? Who's the help side responsibility right here, right? Zoo is just screening because he's probably thinking that Kawhi's going to come out to the free throw line. But Harden's like, oh, nobody's going to pick up Kawhi when he's all the way down there. Watch this. This is a perfectly placed ball. Perfect. Because the person who's supposed to be on the backside is not there. Places it over the top. Easy layup. That's like, again, we're not paying attention, right? It's just, that's not good. That's the kind of stuff that, like, you know, gives other teams life. I think they were up 21 here, but I don't think there's quite anything more. I think we did play pretty good defense here after this. Yeah, it's a bunch of Harden misses. So let's yeah, it's just a bunch of Harden misses, and I think they attack the zone by going to Kawhi in the middle. That's our zone breaking. This is just good basketball by Kawhi. This is tough shot making by Kawhi. So nothing really out of the ordinary there. So let me see if I can find when the Lakers go on their run. I'll pull up the stuff when the Lakers were on their run. Right, so let's pull this up. And there was a stretch where the Lakers went on a nice run. I want to say there was a run that they went on. I want to say it was off of a backside dunk. Was it in the fourth quarter that happened? Let's see. They cut to 15. Oh, it was in the fourth quarter. So let's take a look at the fourth quarter offense that we got from the Lakers. When Braun sort of led that run, I want to say it was in the start of the fourth. And I want to say we cut it. No, it looks like it was during the third quarter. 'Cause we were down 15. What did we cut it to? Like maybe 8? Uh, it might have been this stretch here. Okay, let's take a look at this stretch right here. So at the start of the fourth, Lakers are down 15. Let me turn off the volume here. Okay. Yeah, so this is the non-AD lineup. Lakers go with a little bit of a different look. They go with Jackson Hayes. They go with Jackson Hayes at center. Rui, Braun, Gabe, Dalton. So I've been of the mind that like when you run these, Braun is the facilitator. Um, Lineups, you probably should have Rui on the floor because he's kind of your only true ISO scorer outside of Austin. So this was the stretch where Braun kind of looked like his legs were kind of out a little bit. So he starts going a little bit more into a facilitation mode. This is a nice run out by Rui, not giving up on the play. This is one of I'll tell you one thing. Like one of my favorite things in basketball now, because people don't do it enough, is running to the rim. Like too many people nowadays. This is my like get off my lawn sort of thing. Too many people nowadays in basketball, like players, are coached to take this lane and run it to the corner. And I hate that so much because I think you hurt the defense so much. Like I know hitting that open three is a big deal because the defense is probably like, hey, I got to get back on defense. Your coach is yelling at you, but there's just something about getting the shot at the rim that puts like a different level of um, irritation on defenses that I think is really great. So I really like that Rui didn't run to that corner. So a 13-point game now after that Rui score. Again, Braun ISO. This is like they want this. That's two layup. Like those are two shots I think Braun makes 9 out of 10 times. This is a nice tough play because the Lakers were stuck a little bit here. This is a tough play by Gabe Vincent here. He had a couple of these against Miami, I want to say too. This is also awesome play here by Braun. No look, dunk. This is phenomenal. Braun was always drawing that second guy. So what happened? So what was happening on these plays? Just to pull it back up. So what we're seeing happen on these plays is Nick Batum is the designated runner. Clippers he's always the guy who's supposed to be the help side guy. He's like their designated help side guy. It's a way the Clippers have always liked using him. They trust him to just basically make decisions on the fly if he has to defensively. So that that was this is going to be like highlights of just Braun's misses, but Braun had like a couple of those bunnies that he didn't knock down, and it's okay. That sort of happens. I think his legs were a little tired, but still 13-point game. Lakers keeping it relatively close. Yeah. Rui just keeping his dribble alive, doesn't see Zoo commit, so he walks right into the little mid-range jumper, which he's comfortable with. And I want to say this is the point. Okay, so Lakers, this is 14-point game. It might have been an 11-point game before this, and I think the Clippers did a 3. So this is the stretch where Braun comes out the floor, and the lead balloons back up to like 17 again for the Clippers. The focus here for me is what the Lakers' offense looked like when we watch this stretch of basketball. It's a fadeaway jumper, probably not a good shot. This is the too big look that the Lakers had. And I think Braun only took like a very short rest during this period, if I'm not mistaken. Or this play might be out of order. Yeah, this play is out of order. It's replaying something from before. Okay, it's just replaying something from before. Let's just get through this. This was another play where I think the play was originally for Austin Reeves. That's why you see Reeves over here in the corner. He gives the ball up to Anthony Davis. Now watch Anthony Davis. He's looking left and right because he's trying to see if somebody's going to come up to come get the ball. Nobody does. He's still looking. And then last minute, he's looking at the rim. Like these kind of things, like to look at the rim like very last second and take that shot, it's almost like a bailout shot. like you're uncertain of what's going to happen here. Lakers are down 14, then they end up down 17, and somebody hits a three, I forgot, on the opposing side. So after they go back up 17 is when the Lakers put Braun back in the game. And now, like, kind of at this point, you're just kind of chasing the end result. It's a nice effort by Rui. Nice effort by DFS here. I mean, at this point, the game's kind of over. So, like, the Clippers are just really running clock here. I wouldn't take too much from it. I think this is the only three that 80 took this game. This is where Austin bumped knees. Yeah, and then you got some bronze stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So, when we think about just kind of when we think about like how the Lakers approached this game defensively, the discipline that they had defensively or lack of discipline that they had defensively, like that's just one of those things that like um it just kind of I don't know if they have it, like I don't know if the Lakers have enough defensive discipline to beat teams who have really high discipline. And I know we talk about stuff like margin of error and stuff like that, and that's certainly a thing, But there is a baseline level of like execution that the Lakers have to have offensively and defensively in order for us to be successful. And if we're not, then I don't think you'll get a very good result. And I think a lot of the times it's on the defensive end. We talked about the switching thing. We talked about them blanket switching a lot, and that not being very helpful. The Lakers have been doing a better job. I mean, this game they did a better job, not blanketly switching because Ty Lue's been known to try to ISO switch and hunt switches, hunt players at times. But it's kind of tough to make our way around that. And I'm not quite sure the Lakers have that level of defensive discipline and execution to do that. And I like I said, I'm not trying to pick on anybody in particular, but I do think sometimes it starts with the stars and it trickles down. This game wasn't a game where I thought there were players like the Clippers are specifically trying to target certain players. Like we've seen games where Austin gets targeted. We've seen games where Rui gets targeted. But I didn't see anything like that today. It just is what it is. That's just kind of just what it is when it comes to it. So, folks, it's been about 50 minutes, and I think Raj may still be going on with he's still on Lakers Lounge right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to call it because I've been talking for I've been talking for over 45 minutes, and I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to me talk only time. But I hope you guys enjoyed just sort of the walkthrough when we take a look at the tape and we kind of break it down, because it kind of gives you an idea when you rewatch it and you can slow it down, stop it, go back, rewatch it. It actually ends up being super helpful, and I think it allows us to better understand like what kind of small things tend to mess up for the Lakers, and what kind of small efforts are required in order for the Lakers to win games. And if we can't execute on that level, you're going to lose games. But still a long season. Lakers still have plenty of time to figure that sort of thing out. And hopefully they do. They've got a game against the Wizards, and then we've got a big matchup against Boston. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. And I appreciate all the folks that were able to jump in. If you do get a chance, feel free to head over and subscribe on the YouTube channel and to Lakers Detailed. And I'll make sure that I get Raj, coordinate with Raj, and we do our sort of daily live discussion, or sorry, weekly live discussion and we go from there. But as always, folks, I appreciate you taking the time to join me to break down this Clippers postgame. And we'll see what the Lakers do and what they figure out from here on. So, if nothing else, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. And if nothing else, I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.